think it's important also, I can sit here and talk about metaverse all day long, but I need to be around people too. So I've been trying to do my own little, get together.
Yep.
And
Let's
doing.
do it. Oh, you know what? I spoke with Harold. He's all excited that I want to do this juice day at the retreat from like 7:30 to 5 in the afternoon, or 9 to 5, or something like that. And I would bring, like you would come and you would talk about what it is you do, how you can, it's almost like a networking juice cleanse day. I would like to insert a massage, like a 15-minute massage for everybody, rotate, and have meditation on the beach, stuff like that. So that'll get you out. That'll get you out for one day at least.
Good morning, Tom. I wonder if Tom could grab the mic and join us.
Hey, Tom.
Emily's joining us as soon as possible. Do you want to go ahead and start our meeting? And then we can talk, and then she'll join in.
Yeah.
And then maybe Tom can jump in, because we have a lot of changes coming up. We changed our meeting date, but Tom is part of this too. So go ahead. The mic is yours, Terry.
All right.
Happy Monday, everyone.
Thank you, Tonya. Okay, wherever you are, standing, sitting, laying down, gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Again, inhale. Exhale. One more time, nice and deep. Inhale. And exhale through the mouth. Relax your face. Relax your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. Allow the stress go down your arms and out through your fingertips. Relax your torso and your hips, lower back. Visualize it all just opening up, and the stress going down your legs and out through your toes. You're completely relaxed, keeping your eyes closed, gently breathing in and out through your nose. Visualizing the air going in and out through your nose. Positive energy going in, negative energy coming out. And when other thoughts come into your mind, visualize that as clouds floating by in the sky. And gently open your eyes, closing thoughts. In silence, we most readily preserve our integrity. Your soul thrives on silence. From deep inside, you receive your most certain guidance and instruction. In silence, you are without distractions. That is why we fear silence, because we fear its power. Enjoy quiet meditation today. Namaste. May the divine in me honor the divine in you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
I think it's the first time I took a deep, deep, deep breath since over the weekend, because I've been. I was just like, oh my goodness. Good morning, Emily. How are you?
Good morning. I needed that so badly today, Terry. I couldn't close my eyes. I'm driving, but I did some deep breath work there. And
how's Grandma?
Yeah, she's been on antibiotics. She has pneumonia, so she's not doing great. But she is hopefully going home, because she has been on antibiotics for a few days. So we're working on that today, and it's just doing all right.
All righty. Prayers, prayers, prayers. That's all we can do for you at this point.
Thank you.
You're
I'll
very
take them,
welcome.
all of them.
All right.
Good morning, Tom. Well, he's on the mic, but yeah. So we had a guest today. Her name is Amy. She is a dev for Web3, and she does smart contract and all this and stuff. And so I just thought it was really cool to feature her. She said yes, but then something came up. One of her project needed to her attention, so she couldn't be here. She's actually an hour or two behind us, I think, 2 hours behind us. So so she's busy doing her stuff. So I told her I'd get her back on the schedule. We have a guest on the 22nd, Samantha, or Sam. She's I was sending you guys pictures of her. You'll recognize her. She's been to a lot of our events at the Blue. But today I wanted to also let you ladies know that I was like organizing my pictures, and I found pictures of Emily from my 2015 Get Green with like my event at the other embassy suite. Oh, you look so good. You look the same, Emily. Actually, you look better today than you did back then.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that too. No, thank you very much.
So I was going to share that out, and then I got a picture of Terry when I first met her, and did a photo shoot with her on near her other place.
Fun.
I feel like I have somewhere some old photos of you two, Tonya, from like Heart Camp and everything.
Yes, I am laughing about Heart Camp because remember I told you I saw one picture and I had like bent down and then I had a crack hanging out. I was like, oh my God, and they posted this and it took all, and I just saw it this year. So you know how long ago that was? Like a decade.
Yep.
But I want to say good morning to Brent. Good morning, Brent. So today, it's kind of like an impromptu now too, because I was just thinking about like what are the things we want to talk about, and what are the things that we are going to plan to do. My phone's ringing. Sorry about that. I have to answer. It's my mom. Sorry. If it rings, I'm like, oh my God, it's my mom. So, and I wanted to also talk a little about what some of the things that empower you, and you know, it's so funny. It kind of like, you know, Mother's Day is coming up, and my empowerment when I was younger, I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe it at all. But really, my empowerment starts with my mom. Really, my mom empowered me. So. From her, what she's gone through and what she experienced and all the things she said to me when I was younger and I didn't like it and I just didn't believe in anything she said. And, you know, ironically, everything my mom said is true. So my empowerment, it starts with me, but it always, I feel it began with my mom. So, and it's one of those things that I want to celebrate mothers too, because again, this Sunday is going to be Mother's Day.
I love that. I'd say mine definitely comes from my mom and my grandma too. My mom was a single mom. Both my grandmothers are just super strong women. And I mean, both are still, they're 99 and 95 and still sassy, fiery, strong women. And I feel like I definitely would not be the woman I am today without those three ladies. And I have an incredible aunt as well, who was extremely empowering growing up. She's a badass businesswoman. She like kind of followed in her footsteps in a lot of ways on that side, and super inspirational there too. So I'm very blessed to be surrounded by a lot of empowering women.
Oh yeah. Like I'm telling you, I think we surround ourselves and we attract people in our lives based from the people we meet along the way. So, hey Brent, how's it going? Good morning.
Morning, Tonya. And
Morning, Brent.
I would,
Good morning.
I would be happy to share a bit of an empowerment story. My empowerment for my journalism career and having a press pass. My empowerment comes from Tonya.
Ah, that's fantastic.
You know, Brent, how many media? I think Brent was watching that too before he did his Twitter Spaces on how to pitch to the media. Also, did you see it, Brent? I have it pinned up.
I know that there's lots of archive of you on YouTube, Tonya.
Oh no, this one is not me. Actually, Emily for this one,
No,
Emily was
the YouTube video of this one has your beautiful yellow dress.
It
yeah,
does
I knew
actually.
he
You look.
watched it.
That was such a great event, though. I really like. That was empowering too, because we had some great media on that panel. And I feel like a lot of people left with some really actionable advice that day from the media that we had on, and were able to start telling their stories, which I always find super empowering when you can control your own narrative. That's what I love about PR overall.
See, I think that's the key, and I'm excited that we're going to be planning more in-person events and this type of education. So I think that's also the key, the empowerment that starts too. Like, you know, when we're able to create your brand and also create the way you want people to see it, it's so important, and especially finding the right media to connect with.
But is it also that empowerment comes from having role models in journalism, like watching who began in journalism, and watching our like role models like Barbara Walters and Ann Curry and and other people like that?
Of course, that we were just talking about it. So, Emily shared hers, and I kind of shared mine because it was just, you know, how when you think of just the person, they just appear to you. And I want to go ahead and give the mic to Terry, and then Tom, if you're able to speak, I'd love to hear who empowered you. And I have a feeling who it is, but Terry, would you like to share with us who empowered you when you were growing up and things you've done in your life? Terry. Oh, okay. So she's in the middle of something. So, you know, I also wanted to let everyone know, like, you know, when you think of like today's women, we're just working. We really don't know much about, you know, there's not too many different things that we got into or learned. But I always feel like everything you're taught as a child, you will one day utilize. And, you know, people would argue with me about that. But, you know, like I know how to bake apple pie, and I know how to make a quilt, and I know how to sew and make my own clothes. And you know, it's not because it was you know, it was because this wonderful woman who, you know, we adopted. She adopted us. So so a lot of times you'll hear my accent. I have like a California twang to it because I learned how to speak English by my grandparents, and my grandfather, you know, was originally from California. So I actually was supposed to be all my life since I was a little girl. I was going to go to Berkeley. That was just his dream, was for me to go to Berkeley. And when I didn't go to Berkeley, I felt like I disappointed him. And you know, I felt like, you know, they empowered me so much as far as seeing outside the box, but also they empowered me to believe in the simple things in life, you know, like for example, you know, a lot of people think, oh, we're feminists when women shouldn't learn this or shouldn't learn that. I mean, by the time I was 8 years old, because we were poor in this country, I learned how to use the sewing machines. I learned how to hem my own clothes. I learned how to sew because we were poor. We didn't have much money. We just, you know, we took whatever we got. So I would take my mom's bell-bottom pants and I cut it up and make into little skirts. And, you know, for me back then, as a little girl growing up in this country, we were poor. So, you know, we learned different things. But back then, I didn't look at it as like a chore. I didn't look at anything. I just thought, oh, how cool. And I wanted to be a fashion designer because of that. So, you know, and I always remember my grandmother telling me this because she was part of, you know, she was in World War II. She volunteered in the Korean War. And she told me that, you know, no matter what you have to learn to do as a woman, you should learn the basic skills. And don't let anyone tell you that you're wrong. So I mean, literally, you know, I came from a life of just using chopsticks, right? That was our silverware. We didn't ever know anything. But because of my grandparents, they taught me how to set a table and how to how to eat at the table, how to order from a menu. I mean, those simple life skills, believe it or not, people say it's not important, but it is. Especially, that's what you get taught. If you have your grandparents, your parents, your family unit teaching you things that is important for the skills that you need. And I feel, and I think I talk a lot about this with Maria de Los Angeles, because, life skills that are not being taught these days. And
Yes.
Emily, I
Yep.
think you and I can talk about this all day too.
And look how far you've come since you've learned those life skills, Tonya. You've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, because the life skills opened my eyes to other things. Sewing clothes, because we were poor, didn't dictate who I was. It gave me the creativity to look at magazines. And unfortunately, I was like 10 years old looking at Vogue magazine because someone
look
dropped
where
off.
you are now. You're in music, and you're in like NFT, and you're in the metaverse, and now you're doing like experiential marketing and trying to build up your brand.
Yes, and I think our building up our brand starts even when you're a kid, right, Emily? Don't you think? Because I feel like
I think so. I also have to say, so I think when we're young, we build up our brand and we start to know who we are, and then we forget it. Right. And we let like the world say, oh, this is who you should be. And then I think the biggest thing, like, and one of the most empowering things is being able to say, no, like, this is who I am, and going to who you really are and finding who you really, really are outside of like who everyone says you should be or how you should be. And I think that's super empowering.
yes, that is so empowering, and also empowerment brings connection too, and also connection can give you empowerment. Like I always felt that in life, when we doubt ourselves, is because we felt we weren't right yet. So we weren't good enough, or we weren't this and that. And all my life, I've always fought to say, I am good enough. I'm good enough. I'm good enough to be here. I'm good enough to stand next to you. I'm good enough to do this with you, because I am. I'm good enough. I'm better, actually. And sometimes it sounds cocky, but when I used to, I don't know if you know this about me, Emily, but when I worked for NARS, to really practice my art, at Saks Fifth Avenue, we were like, it's just like I didn't see myself just standing there behind a counter and waiting for the people to come by. And NARS Cosmetics back then was like really wild and crazy. We had ecstasy eyeshadow and orgasm blush, and people were like, didn't really care much for it. But it's kind of crazy. It was wild and funky. But instead of saying, I am going to sell this to everybody, because nobody wanted it. They wanted Bobby Brown. And I didn't, I was poor, and I wore 50 cents clothing. So for me, it was cool because I dressed like the funkiness of the magazine of what Francois NARS was. Because NARS was, I mean, you know how Francois NARS became famous? CK1, CKB. I mean, like, we created that rub out. Remember that, the grunge look, Emily? The eyeshadow that like
Absolutely. That was the look of the 90s. Yeah. The smudged
that's
dark eyeshadow underneath, the eyeliner, and oh yeah.
The smudge look. You went clubbing all
Yep.
night, and you woke up and your makeup's all smudged. So
Oh yeah, sometimes when I fall asleep with my makeup on and I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I'm so 90s.
well, in 1996, it was the hottest thing. And
It
Francois
was the
NARS,
best look.
well, Francois made it. He's my boss back in 1996. He's the one that came up with it. And I always remember my first fashion show doing this kind of stuff. The reason I'm sharing you this story, because it don't matter what you got on. Don't matter what kind of purse you carry, what kind of shoes you got. What matters is that you show up, you do your job, and you leave. And then you come back again, and you do your job, and you leave, and you do it, and you're having fun at the same time. So I opened up. I was a lead makeup artist for Betsy Johnson when she opened up in Miami. My friends picked me up from the tri-route because I didn't have a car at the time. I didn't have a makeup bag, so I had a Saks Fifth Avenue bag with all my brushes in it. Little white bag. I'm walking around with it. And all the other makeup artists who didn't realize I was the lead makeup artist, that they worked for me, looked at me like, oh, who is she? You're in the wrong place, lady. And I didn't even think about it. And my friends were like, don't you have a bag? And I'm like, no, I don't have the bag. Was I supposed to bring a bag? This is a bag. So, and then I looked at myself back then, and I remember feeling like uncomfortable because I didn't have the right clothes on like everyone else, and everyone else looked so like, I mean, this was in Aventura. It was called Absolute Fab. We were like launching this whole thing, and we had Betsy Johnson. She's back there doing cartwheels and doing crazy stuff with her beautiful self. And I remember feeling like, oh my God, I can't do this. I cannot do this. This was my first lead show in 1997, actually January 1997. And I said, I can't do this. I can't really do this. I don't look right. I don't have the cases that all these makeup artists and even though they work for me, I signed their check because we were so new. We were trying to get into Bell Harbor and all this stuff. So I just went ahead and did it. And it was my first makeup artist gig as the lead artist. And I was just so excited. And I think back about like, I did it. It didn't matter at the time what I looked like, or it didn't matter at the time that I didn't have the right thing. It did matter that I could understand what Betsy Johnson was saying, what she wanted the models to look like. So when I spoke to her, she showed me the clothes. I looked at it and I created the look, and and the way I did it back then was so different. Was all the makeup artists were expecting to do their own makeup for each model. Like each model do theirs. I didn't believe in that. I remember as a kid looking at the fashion magazines and all the different ones. I remember them having this, they all look the same, all makeup. And so I didn't see that. So I made each artist that was like looking at me weird. Each one would only did the eye, one did the lips. And, when the whole event was over, it was one of the best events. It's when Betsy Johnson opened up her Miami place, and people forgot what I looked like, or what kind of clothes I had on, or they didn't have a brush. But I showed up. I did the job. I made my company look incredible. We went into Bell Harbor after that. And it was like something that empowered me because I always felt like this country pumpkin where I came from. I didn't know what Louis Vuitton was until I moved down south. I mean, who knew what Louis Vuitton was? So that's one of my empowerment. It really, empowerment starts with you. The fear is what causes you not to do anything. So Emily, share with us one of your empowerment stories. So what about your first event that you did before you launched Mugsy PR?
Oh gosh, all right. So far before Mugsy, like 10 plus years before Mugsy, coming out of college, my first job was managing all the PR for the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, and basically like helping to run all media for that show. And I was very similar story to you. I do not come from money. I come from hippie parents. I had all my clothes made from my parents. I was, if I bought something, it came from a thrift store or a vintage shop. And I loved my vibe. I thought it was great. And then all of a sudden I went into this world of yachting. And even in high school, I kind of lucked out because everyone was all fashion platey. But then as soon as I got to high school, everything went to grunge. And so I was able to kind of fall into that mode of being in fashion, quote unquote. And it never really was a thing because grunge came into style in the 90s. But my first event in the yachting world, and here I showed up and everybody was in the most expensive designer wear, and there's $1 million yachts, and there was just this insane pressure for me to fit into this world that I definitely did not fit into. And at that point, I actually felt like I had two options, which was try to fit in to this world that I definitely did not, or just be myself and empower myself to say, they're going to have to accept me for the work that I can do and not for what I look like. So I was the one on the docks in my general pinup dresses and my vintage wear, and I had my pink hair, and I showed up to all the things, and I definitely shocked the yachting world a little bit the first few years there, but everybody remembered who I was, and it felt really empowering to say, I'm going to stay true to myself, and I'm not going to be something I'm not, because I will never be that. And I'm now 20 years in yachting, and still doing the marine marketing and still hanging out around those same people. And they still look at me like I'm crazy sometimes, but I'm still there. And it just felt very empowering. I've had a lot of imposter syndrome along the way. That's definitely something I deal with.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Vicky. Hey, Vicky. Yeah, grab the mic if you want to chat with us. We're talking about how empowerment starts with you, but let's talk imposter syndrome. I love talking about that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think women deal with it a lot. I don't know how much men deal with it, but I think women deal with it quite a bit. And I certainly know I have. I'm even dealing with it now as a, caretaking and not knowing how to do that. And there's some imposter syndrome. And I always feel like as women, a lot of times, and humans in general, we are put into situations where we may seem like we are swimming in the deep end without knowing really how to do anything beyond doggy paddle. And I've always said you have to, I don't like the term fake it till you make it. I say face it till you make it. And you study and you learn and you figure it out and you talk to people who know more than you. And I'm always very open to advice and information. And I ask for help when I need it because I feel like imposter syndrome is so real and it brings your empowerment down. It brings your confidence level down. It makes you feel like you have no idea what's going on. You have to be open to asking for help in those situations. But I definitely think it's something that's empowering to get through. Once you get through and you realize like it's not, it is a real thing, but it's not a real thing. It's in our heads. So if we can talk ourselves through it, get empowered by our friends, our coworkers, people around us, it's a great feeling.
I totally know what you're talking about. I think I experienced that so many times in my life. I think I just kind of like force myself to learn different things, like read up more or educate myself some more. And I would just go apply for jobs, just to apply for jobs. And it was interesting how I realized a lot of time, like for example, I applied for a job once and they couldn't get a hotel room to hold the interview. And I really like her too. I just answered this ad and I wasn't even thinking much about it. And it was a route salesperson. Could you imagine? I was a route salesperson for years, actually, up in New Jersey for years. I did pasta grant sunglasses and all this stuff, but I did not know anything about first aid and safety. Could you imagine trying to like sell first aid and safety? You don't even know anything about that. And I just, I think I just go and apply for it. But the funny thing was, it wasn't about like who was more qualified, who was more of a problem solver that impressed Deb. Her name was Deb and Debbie, and she was like my boss. And she was really cool. She was like, she had me interviewed last, and she told me I got the job, even after she interviewed all day long. But the only reason I got the job, as she said, was that I was the one that found her a hotel room. And it was funny because the hotel the owner of the hotel used to be my client when I worked for Toshiba. So I called them, they hooked it up. She didn't give us a free room or anything. She just got a room, and they were able to like interview all these people. I mean, back in the day before LinkedIn, I'm talking about back in the day before even computers happened. It's just, you call people, you look through the one ad, the classified, looking for a job. And I just always thought that, and what my biggest thing was, Emily, that I hated about myself, and I always felt that even though I had so many jobs in my lifetime, my resume, just to make a freaking resume, just to sit down and write a resume.
Oh my gosh, I hate it. One of the biggest, I hate it because you have to make a resume, but then you go to fill out the application and you have to rewrite all the information that's in your resume. So I'm like, why did I just spend all this time making the resume? And I also feel like your experience cannot be summed up on a piece of paper that just lists out some bullet points of things that you've done. I feel like there is so much more to all of us. So I'm like, I love to interview. I love interviewing. I love to sit down. You want to question me all day long. I love to talk. I'm like, let's do this. But I hate resumes.
I know what you mean. That's why I'm a great, like, I love being interviewed. Oh my God. You and I think that's why we're in PR. But if you ask me to sit there and write it all out, it would be like, oh my gosh. And it's like today I can say, gosh, I come a long way. Now today I can just sit down and just like look at something, start writing it all out. And now I have AI too. So AI just fixes everything for me. So it's a different world we live in now. But back then it was the resume. And so I went to, so here's the thing. I didn't finish college. I didn't finish high school. I went to college. I didn't finish college because I thought it was more important for me to have this title because I got into management and I was like running the store, clothing. I just thought, and all my time was focused on that store and then growing the company instead of like just say, you know what, just don't take this promotion, just go to school. But I didn't. I tried to go to school, run a store, work all these crazy hours. And it used to bother me that I didn't have a degree. Did you know that? It bothered me. Like I'm like not that far from getting a degree either. But then now I look back, I mean, Emily too, we've lectured, I've lectured at FIU, I lectured at Nova, I've lectured at FAU, so it's kind of funny. And then when I tell these people this, the teachers are like cringing that I'm sitting there going, oh yeah, I didn't finish college, but let me talk about networking for you.
But it's true. Like the college part, like, all right, I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, you have to either go to college or you have to have a goal. Like, it doesn't have to be college. You just have to have a goal in mind. And if you don't have a goal, go to college and figure out your goals. But like, I don't think college is I think it's very useful. I went to college. It's great. I use nothing that I learned there for my career. But I learned a lot of other skills and a lot of things like that. But like, I definitely, for my career, everything was learned on the job. Everything was experiential, and you do it and you learn what goes right and what goes wrong, and you don't do the wrong again. And I just feel like that's the way all of us really get our hands dirty and get in there and learn it. Especially in communications. You can't learn this. Like you can learn some of the technicalities, but really in communications, it comes down to being able to go off book and to think on your feet and to, be able to tell these stories. And that comes down to relationships and things like that, not necessarily what you learn in books.
So true. I'm going to tell you right now, back in 2008, when I was like learning everything I'm doing today, becoming the president of Women Communication. And, the crazy thing about I keep saying crazy thing because when I went to that luncheon and I learned about Twitter and Second Life and, digital and all these different things, I just knew I had to be part of this group. I just knew I had to be part of this women's group. And I wasn't quite sure yet. And then Linda Hamburger had an event. And that's why I met Linda Hamburger. And then I went to her. She had this whole pitch event thing and whoever won award and all this stuff. So I ended up I was like one of her first person to sign up to be part of her group, just to help her get going. So I paid to be featured and all that stuff. And I learned so much from that when I went to lunch at the time of the board of director of Women Communication South Florida chapter, they were like, they asked me this question of like, why would I want to join, this group? And I said, well, I am excited to learning more, but the most important thing is empowerment. I feel like this group has the history that empowers women. Why not? Why wouldn't I want to be part of this group? But, I didn't go in and say, hey, I want to be your president right then and there. I said, well, my goal is to prove myself. And in 2009, I want to be the president of this organization, the South Florida chapter. And they all looked at me like, okay. And so they said, if you want to be, I was kind of like forced to become president, actually, to be honest with you. I ended up, I get a little cocky sometime in my own little words. Sometimes I feel that at that moment in time, looking back at the lunch in Fort Lauderdale, I had this attitude like, you can do anything, just ask. So they were like, well, we have this event coming up, and if you can make a difference for us, then, we'll all meet and we'll vote on it. And again, I'm thinking 2009, 100 years, I'm going to go and I'll be celebrating. So we had this big event, and they had all these tables. So I got one of my clients to buy a table, and then I got Lancome. I got like all these swag bags. We got a huge swag bag given to us that I created for them. And, I just went along and just called people and had people donate, my friends and stuff. And I always remember this when they all voted me in, and then they say, as president. And even though I did not know, I was like, I didn't plan to be president now. And they're like, well, we're voting you in. So, and they all left, Emily, in 2008. I took over this chapter in 2008 with nobody.
Isn't it crazy that they were? Well, look how far you took it, though.
Yeah, we were on a really old ass. What was it? Some website that was so. I want to throw
Oh,
it
it was
across the
so
room.
old. I remember that old website. You revamped that whole thing.
I revamped it 3-4 times. we got
Yeah, you did.
hacked. We got hacked. We got kicked. We got all kind of crazy stuff to happen to this little women communication. And the reason I'm sharing this story is because as the president, I didn't know what else to do, and everyone left. I had lunch with the old president, and she was in the middle of a breakdown because her husband, her fiance at the time, was in Afghanistan, and she couldn't deal with it. And she gave me all she did was, here you go. Here's the password to get in. Here's this. I mean, we didn't have anything. So I found someone to be a partner with, and that's what this is. That's why I appreciate you for being here, Emily, because Carolina Schwartz was my partner in 2008, and it took me days to write one press release. And because I couldn't handle I couldn't understand how to write it the way the old traditional way, I started researching social media press release, and that's how I got into it.
Yes, and now it's like metaverse press releases, blockchain press releases, it's like the press release itself has gone through such an evolution. But you really have been the one that took AWC to where it is down here and where we are now, 100%. I mean, just the changes since I joined, I think it was 2015 to now, and seeing all the changes. So kudos
and we
to
have
you,
more
Tonya.
changes. Thank you. We got more changes coming. I'm hoping that we have our other co-president to come join us too. I because Donna was also a big important person for this chapter too. Everybody that's been part of the board has brought great things, especially you, Emily. You've done a lot for us, for the media, to like just bringing the PR side but down to earth, because we had like at one time our chapter was so big in Miami because we went from like Fort Lauderdale, we were big, and then I moved to Miami because there's no people in Miami, and we had like communication director, PR person, and we had like all these people, but no one shined like you did, Emily. You are. Really, you do. You come up with some really like innovative, so fun, and the storytelling, and that's why I'm so happy that you're part of the whole board, because we got some great stuff happening, and we're excited about that we're not going to announce it until we finish.
I know. I still want to announce it, and we can't yet, but I'm very excited for where things are going to go. I think we can do a lot, and I think we have been kind of on the precipice of doing a lot, and then COVID hit, and then we've been in a regroup mode from there, and I think we're finally at the point where it's like, all right, let's go, and I can't wait. A lot of good stuff on the horizon here.
And I also want to like go back and like do some co-branding with other hotels and stuff that we used to work with. I know we have the Perpetual Life location, which has the seating just like this that we can utilize anytime. But I don't know, looking at the video from August of 2018 at that event, we had like, it was 102 years. We had a waiting list to get into that event. Actually, people had to get on a waiting list, and then we had to like bend down the list, and then there was more people behind us where I took that picture. But it was just it was such an exciting, and we had that dinky my little speaker. Remember the speaker, the microphone?
I know. I love the little speakers and our little screens that we would put up. And where were we at that tea place? I forget which hotel that was. But they had
that's
the
other one. That was 2015 when the first one.
Yeah. I'm like, I have very fond memories of all of these events, though. So, yeah, I think all there is opportunity and possibilities in the future. And we have some amazing women that are in the community now that are doing awesome things and really like moving the needle in so many different aspects of communications, and just new people to bring into the fold and really like amp up our events and the education we can offer and all of that.
Wow, look at Rose. Rose has her own Women to Follow event too. She just recently had one too. And those are the kind of events we, like I said, we love working with other women's group, but I don't know about you, but I missed the day, like maybe this holiday where all the groups come together and do an event. Do you remember that? Remember Social Media
Yes.
Club South Florida and Women Communication? And
You still love that. And we like such great networking, but just so much fun too. Like some of my best friends I've met through that. So yeah, I think we should still do that. Plus I think the biggest thing too is the community that we had and that we could have again here, that kind of, again, COVID really sort of put the stop in the wheel there. But I look at when I have any kind of an issue, let's say I need an answer for something for work, or I need a contact, or I even, right now where I'm like, hey, I'm trying to figure out a balance between running a full-time business and having a family and kids and caretaking for my grandparents. And like, how do I balance that all, right? And I find that when I reach out, it's to my Twitter community, it's on Facebook, it's on social, it's to my friends who I met through all of these events and through AWC and through Social Media Club South Florida, and to these people that have always had my back. And they're there, like they are there, and they're there with professional help, they're there with personal help, they're just there. And we have been such a supportive community for like 15 years now, 10, 15 years now here. And I think everybody's ready for that again. Everyone's starting to come back together again, wants to get together in person again, and really like have that community that we had before. So I think that's going to be a beautiful thing to see.
we're ready. Hey, Rose, how's it going?
Hey, it's good. Hey, I'm good. I just back from a weekend trip to Hudson, New York, which was a lot of fun. And I just want to say, kudos for everything you're doing. It's exciting to hear you've got something new planned. I've met with Emily on a trip to Florida, and I've met with you, Tonya, in your virtual space, which is very cool. So I'm curious. I'm excited to hear what's next. Maybe we can talk. I'm planning something new too that I'd love to talk to you about. Maybe we can co-brand.
Oh, love it. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And then, will you be coming back down here again? Because I think if we know ahead of plan, I'd love to do even like Emily, remember the good old fashioned tweet up? I'd love to do something like that with you, just to like.
I love a good tweet up.
Oh, Emily, I had a great sushi lunch. I'd love to. I think Tonya, you were busy when I was there. Probably, I think in a year. I don't know. I'll probably kind of come in the winter. I mean, your winter, our winter.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. Winter's better to come here anyway because
but we could plan something. Maybe we can do something like you're talking about, where a lot of groups can meet together and do something in person, do a hybrid.
Yeah, we were thinking of bringing like all the other clubs that are down here together, and then we'd love to do Women to Follow also and have you come down and be part of the conversation, because when all the groups come together, it's like we have networking and then we have education, and so it's been a lot of fun. And I think Emily, we can bring Alex back, and just like everybody.
Absolutely,
that'd be great. I started with everything in AI. I started a Women to Follow AI Twitter list, so check it out. And ideas around that, I think, in the future, more education.
Yeah, I think education and how to prompt. I think that's
agree.
I mentioned that to somebody. People are like, "Oh, the AI is going to take over," and I'm like, "No, I don't think so. I think we need to learn how to utilize it to enhance our life. But the most important thing is how to prompt, how to give commands of it. And the ones who know how to tell an AI what to do is the ones going to do a better job."
Right. And I was listening to that.
Right. That's what the jobs are going to. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just listening to this podcast. They have a podcast, AI Institute. Two guys. Do you know who I mean? Anyway, they were saying that they recently did a conference, and the people who were in PR, marketing, they knew and had started using AI. But the people who were the owners of companies and, the business people, most of them were not familiar. Like 70% of them were not using it and not familiar. So I think that there's a really important mission and marketing opportunity to reach those people.
Oh,
I
yeah.
agreed, absolutely. And like I just subscribed to Copy AI's daily prompt, which is like their newsletter, and they just send suggestions for different prompts and like how to, like, if you prompt this way, this is what, will occur and so forth. And just that alone, like, I feel like every day I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have even thought to use this prompt or to ask for this. So it sparks all these new ideas as well. So as much as like, I feel like, oh, I'm starting to train clients on this and go to businesses and teach them some marketing on this, but I'm like, there's still so much to learn. Like, it is such a huge, huge, huge world of opportunity. And I don't think people, like, if you're afraid of losing your job because of AI, like Rose just said, switch what you're doing. Like, just switch it to the prompting instead of the writing. Switch it from look, Canva came out and people still have graphic design jobs. You're not going to lose your job. You just have to know how to do it the right way and do it better than other people are doing it. And it helps, but it's not the end all be all. So yeah, but I think those prompts are the key. And I think we should actually definitely do an education seminar on that.
No, I agree. I think like I'm so into this but being so indecisive, and I can't make up which one I like the most, so I just end up using them, all of them, and it's just I just copy and paste. I'll put it, and then now Grammarly has their own AI. Go Grammarly. It's called Go Grammarly, I think, and you can like ask it to here. You input everything and say, edit, make it better, or give me some prompt, or give me some ideas, and it does it too. Even Canva has their own AI now too. I'm gonna start working on too.
They do. You can plug a photo in, and it just like creates examples of how the art you can create. So it is getting integrated everywhere. You can also prompt the AI to help you write prompts, and I think that's something people don't think about, but that does help too. So.
Well, I'm doing that today. I'm gonna do some prompts, but I'm looking
I
at
started
this.
doing that this weekend. I was like, let me play with that. Like, and it really does give you some really helpful information.
Well, I'm looking at the AI for YouTube, where you punch in YouTube. It's not for YouTube, but they take your YouTube video link, and then it spits it all out and it summarizes and spits it all out. There's so many videos that I think it's just so important to go back to do this too, because in this way, A, you got more content. B, it's nothing wrong with recycling your old content, but have a different point of view. And a lot of people, I realize, we can sit here and talk shop and we all know all this, but the average person, when you try to explain that to them, they freak out. My friend freaked out on me on Friday because I was like, you don't need to use all those hashtags on Facebook. It's just like 20 hashtag on Facebook is because it's a little bit too much, don't you think? And you're not even creating your own stuff. And why don't you just turn on the camera and make an audio or something? And he got all mad at me and stuff, and like, I don't have the money. And I'm like, well, you have a phone and a video. I like, just click and make a note about your business and then upload instead of screenshotting other people's images. And then he doesn't even clean it up either. He just uploads it like that. And I said, that's not professional. I mean, it's digital. It's like you worry about what you look like, but then imagine what your posting is looking like. And since you can't afford it, just use what you got instead of trying to get it from everybody else that you're not cleaning up. But I think it would be a great thing for us to do a class on that too, even like do a prompt class and some also basic, social media. I feel like a lot of people forgot the etiquette of social media.
Yes. Like I go to nonprofits. It started with Horizon, which was one of my clients, but it's kind of expanded from there. And I talked to them about literally just basic social media etiquette and the best way to engage on social media, because I do still feel like there are a lot of people who they have, first of all, some real stereotypical ideas of what social media is. And everybody's always first response is like, well, it's not really relevant to me. It's not really relevant to me. And I'm like, well, you're wrong. It's literally relevant to everybody when done the right way. And everything has moved into social media. And even as the platforms keep changing, this isn't going away. So learn it. But there's certain ways to learn it where it's going to be easier. It's going to be more useful. And again, there's just proper manners and etiquette on social media. So we teach a lot of classes on those. And I think it would be something very useful for us to do. little refresher course.
Or even like do a one where you can bring a friend, like your daughter. I feel like kids need to learn this too, because
Yes, so much.
it's social media is a tool. It's not all in all. It's just like picking up the phone. You can just DM somebody on a Twitter or Facebook, or you can get on a video call with them on Facebook, or even like sit on Twitter Spaces and talk to somebody, or go on Discord. Because I feel like all the tools are there for us to use, but it's just like driving a car. If you don't have a license, if you don't know how to drive a car and you get in the car and drive, is that a healthy thing to do? I mean, that's my
Right.
analogy. So it's about 10:57. I want to be mindful because it has to be 60 minutes because we're going to upload this into, I'm testing, I'm going to try to break Twitter in there, Twitter Blue thing. So we'll upload this once it's all cleaned up and restreamed out. I'll upload this into our Spotify, a new Spotify account. But any closing thought, Emily? And thank you, Emily, for sharing. And I always enjoy talking to you and sharing what you've been up to, and also, what we experienced together.
Well, me too. I always enjoy this, and this is truly I love starting the week this way. So that's one of my favorite ways to start the week. And AWC overall has been super empowering to be a part of, and I love it. And you and Terry both, it's just been an amazing experience for me. My final closing thought, though, is that this is Mental Health Awareness Month for May. And I have a client called Bug Therapy. It is a 9-minute animated short that is streaming for free on YouTube. It's adorable. It features Meghan Trainor, Sterling K. Brown, Jay Leno, Tom Green, Dr. Phil. There's a lot of great voice talent in it. And it's a short animated film about a mosquito who faints at the sight of blood and goes to group therapy to get some help with her condition. And the motto is, it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to ask for support. And it's a great movie, and it is free right now, only through May, on YouTube. So anybody can watch it on YouTube if they go to Bug Therapy Movie on YouTube. And people should check it out because it's truly it's a really great short film.
Oh, I'm going to see that. Do you have a link for it? Can we put it in the speech bubble?
I do. I will put that up there. And Tonya, do you have any closing thoughts as I grab that link?
Yes. My closing thoughts are that empowerment starts with you, and everything that you've learned in the past to present will bring you to where you need to be in the future. So always, keep in mind what you learned today might seem nothing, but it will help you down the road. So those are my closing thoughts. Don't be open-minded and accept everything that comes your way because you deserve it. And Rose, any closing thoughts from your from you?
I'm actually on the road to see a doctor, so I shouldn't have any closing thoughts except be safe, be well, and always tune into this talk. It's always great.
Thank you for being here, for joining in. And again, I want to say thank you to Tom. I don't know if he's there. And thank you, Vicky, for being here. And 420 Carpe Diem, thank you for being here. And also Giving Care Charity Foundation, thank you for being here. And again, everyone, have a great day. We will be back next Monday, the day after Mother's Day. And everybody can share their Mother's Day story. And if you want to be on any of our Twitter Spaces and want us to feature you, go ahead and email us at info@awcsouthflorida.org, or follow our account, and then we'll DM you back, or just make a comment on this space and then let us know. And again, thank you so much. And Emily, thank you for sharing that link, by the way. I can't wait to watch that.
Yes, enjoy it, and thank you, and have a wonderful Mother's Day. And have a great week, everybody. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome week. Bye.